So, if you could just introduce yourself and tell the world who you are and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Milo Silvestro. I am from Rome, Italy, and since that I'm the new Fear Factory vocalist.
Yay!
Been a Fear Factory fan since forever. Okay, first of all, I'm a professional musician. I come from a musical family. Both my parents are pro musicians. My mom's a singing teacher and a vocalist. My dad is a blues guitar player. The funny thing is that my primary instrument was drums. I started playing drums and percussion at the age of 12. So vocals and singing was a thing that came later. And also, Paul instrumentalist, a little bit of rhythmic guitar, a little bit of production keyboards. I also run a studio in Rome. I do like sound engineer, compose film scoring, stuff like that. So, but singing was something that came around my 19 years old, especially metal singing because of my passion for metal. And shortly after I discovered Fear Factory, I've been a fan ever since. Really, Fear, was a real Fear Factory freak. I like to say. Yeah,
it makes two of us.
Yeah, that kind of guy that knows like everything about the band. And I started getting really interested in the vocal style of the band. Seen the band live, and it all started when 3 years ago, 2020, January 2020, shortly after the pandemic kicked in, I decided to post a Soul of a New Machine medley vocal cover in my studio, just for the sake of it, just to get some people to see it. Yeah. There wasn't any expectation beyond that, right? And fortunately enough, and I was looking on Facebook on a Facebook page, the one that had the most, the highest number of followers, and that happened to be New Breed fan page. I was like, okay, let's post the cover over there, just again to get some people to see it, right? And Mr. Dino was on that page, and I didn't know about it. He was like, "Oh, that's fucking amazing, dude!" And I was like, "Whoa, I can't believe it." Dino commended my, my cover, and he complimented me, and I was really humble for that. But it wasn't until I think February, something around February, March, something around there, when the pandemic kicked in. Of course, all of us musicians were, we're trying to do something to kill the boredom of the lockdown, right?
Yeah.
And so I decided to do the second cover, and this time was Resurrection and Timelessness, both songs together in one video.
Yeah.
And again, I posted it on the New Breed Facebook page, and Dino commented again, was like, "Oh, I really like your job," and again, it was really humble. It was like, "Oh, thank you again, man. Thank you, maestro,"
Yeah.
So, and the next day, I think it was the next day, he messaged me, and he was like, I really like your stuff, I've been checking it out and I really like it, can I ask you a couple questions, blah blah blah. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? It was like 7 in the morning here in Italy, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? I can't believe it, am I dreaming? So it was really a surreal thing. And then the rest is history. He kept asking me few questions like, how old are you? Are you a producer? So I like the production of the vocals and stuff like that. I really like how you sang the songs. And he asked me to do one more cover, and then one more and one more and one more. And so I kept doing this kind of GoPro video / audio recording kind of covers. Yeah. And so he had me doing like a couple of Divine Heresy covers, and of course a lot of Fear Factory covers. I sent the instrumentals, and I did a bunch of them. And but it wasn't, at time I couldn't figure out what the deal was, because Fear Factory was involved in a lawsuit, so it was all pretty much stuck. And so later on, he told me that he was trying to do like a side project, since he couldn't do anything with Fear Factory. Yeah. And was auditioning people for this singer spot.
Mhm.
So but then later on he made it, and he was back in, I think June 2020 was back in control of the brand Fear Factory. He bought the name, blah blah blah. So and shortly after the previous vocalist left, so then Dino was like, now I'm gonna have to do auditions for the Fear Factory vocalist spot. Do you still want to try? And I was like, I
Wow.
mean, I have, okay, I always say I have never ever thought in my life to aim, that far,
Mhm.
like wasn't even a dream. A lot of people are like, you made your dream come true, and like that wasn't even a dream, right? It was like
Yeah.
a utopia kind of shit. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
really.
It's something that you feel like you can't like go for kind of thing. It's just like not imaginable.
Exactly. It's like you are a huge Metallica fan, and I tell you, oh, okay, within a year you're gonna be the next James Hetfield, and you're like, no fucking way. I mean, it's not
Exactly.
even
Yeah.
a dream, right?
Yeah.
So that's it's that surreal, right? And so I was fuck yeah, and still couldn't believe it, and so he kept me, he kept sending me instrumentals to do a few more covers, and then eventually it was like, okay, posting on YouTube, and fortunately people liked it, and so the rest is history. Also I couldn't, I wasn't able to go here for the physical audition, in LA until November 2021
Right.
because of the travel ban. So once the travel ban was lifted on November 8th, the same day it was lifted, I was here, because I was scared as hell to lose this opportunity because of the COVID situation.
Yeah,
Right?
of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
So so the vast majority of like your audition was over Zoom, or you sending clips and videos instead of in person?
well, actually, he went for both. I mean, of course, he had all, every guy and girl who auditioned, was sending videos back
Hmm.
then. But then he wanted, the few he chose, like the best one, he wanted to have an actual physical audition, of course, but he was waiting for the travel ban to be lifted. So once it was lifted, he had me and I guess a few other people to have a physical audition.
Hmm.
And so fortunately enough, because the tour that is about to happen now is Static X Rest of Machine tour was supposed to happen last year,
Yeah.
February 2022. So it was like this close from the audition, so it was
Yeah.
like November 2021. I had the audition, and a few months later, like 3-4 months later, I would have had the tour,
Hmm.
so it was really, there was really a lot of expectation, a lot of hype about that. But then it was postponed, I think 1 or 2 months ahead, something like that, because of the COVID situation.
Yeah.
So I had, one more year to get more prepared, a lot of things, like physically, because I've never toured in my life. I've been playing for more than 20 years, but just like local gigs, and a few gigs
Yeah.
abroad in Europe or Brazil. But as far as tour goes, I'm not a tour guy yet, so I had to prepare myself physically, doing workout and stuff like that, because
Yeah, definitely. So let's take it back a little bit. I understand that your dad is a professional blues guitarist. Is that right?
yeah, he's also written some songs for artists that participated in a big festival in Italy, which is called Sanremo. I don't
Hmm.
know if you heard about it. And it's the biggest festival of the Italian song in Italy. And he wrote, he actually artistically produced, which means he wrote 2 or 3 songs for a bunch of artists back in the
Yeah.
90s. So and yeah, so basically he had like a songwriter career, and also he did a record with Warner Bros, I think, Warner Brothers back
Okay.
in by the way, yeah, my by the way, my dad is called Milo Silvestro, and I think he did like a record with Warner Brothers back in the 1990,
Okay.
and it was very experimental, like fun kind of record.
Cool.
And yeah, nowadays basically like he runs a studio with me, and
Mhm.
he's like blues. He also stray a little bit away from blues, like bossa nova, kind of a little bit of jazz, but mostly like it's a blues kind of Delta blues guys, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, finger picking style. You know, he's into David Crosby, James Taylor kind of
Right.
music. You know, it really gave me the passion for my first passion for American music, American sound of the language. You know,
Yeah. So
yeah.
how do you get from that to metal? How did you get into metal?
Well, I mean, it all started in my first year of high school.
Mhm.
I had my desk mate, you know, the guy sitting beside me, who was long hair, metalhead, with 14 years old, you know, first year of high school. And he was into Metallica, I think Megadeth, Iron Maiden, you know, all kind of thrash, you know, old school thrash metal bands. And it was like, you know, check Metallica out, they're fucking awesome, you know, and so I think my very first metal album was Kill 'Em All, which is still, I think, one of my favorite Metallica albums. And
Yeah.
it was raw and vicious, you know, and very angry. And so that was the start. I think it's pretty much a cliche, you know, like Metallica is the start.
Yeah. It's how I started as well. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So from there, of course, it progressed, you know, heavier and heavier. You know, I went to Pantera, Korn, and you know, of course, at that time, bands like Korn, Static X, you know, were popular at the time.
Yeah.
So from there progressed, you know, of course. I was a lot into the down-tuned, groovier stuff, and of course, Fear Factor is part of it, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, from there just snowballed into heavier and heavier, but still, you know, I was always more into the either groovier but also you know, kind of experimental, you know, stuff. Or I was into bands that thought outside of the box, like Fear Factory, you know, like that sounded different. They had their own identity, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically it all started when I was 14 years old, and then yeah, it just kept snowballing, you know.
Awesome. So your mum's a professional vocalist or vocal coach, from what I understand. Is she quite a big influence on you when it comes to singing?
Well, you know, I've been asking her for tips every now and then, you know. But it wasn't until shortly before coming here in LA that I begged her for actual vocal lessons, you know, because I'm really kind of self-taught as far as singing goes, you know. Of course, I have my mom, which is a vocal teacher, so I always had professional help when needed, right?
Yeah.
But of course, as far as screaming and heavy vocals go, I'm self-taught, you know, I was just listening to the records and try to replicate the sound and taught myself how to do it in a safe way. But as far as clean singing go, I always had my mom and her boyfriend, which is Mario Donatone. Is a really great blues piano player and singer, really awesome soul singer, blues, you know, like Ray Charles kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they both have a gospel of American music choir. So that was you know, one of my musical backgrounds as well. And so I always had their help as far as vocal coaching goes.
Yeah.
And I really started asking their help, like a constant lesson every week, you know, or more days a week lately, because it was like, okay, so now I have to tour, so I have to step up my game and really I must really be sure how to. I must really be sure that I'm doing it in the right way without any damaging or stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And also, of course, as far as vocal coaching goes, we also, oh, by the way, you know, my mom's called Giovanna Bosco, and we also hired another guy, which is from Boston, a very amazing guy. He's got an extreme vocal institution. It's called David Benitez.
Okay.
And Dino hired him to vocal coach me 2 or 3 times, and he really helped me also with like either pronunciation and screaming vocals, and gave me a bunch, you know, a couple of tips, very helpful tips to have even better results with less support. You know, he was really a great guy, and I suggest everyone who's listening to check it out on Instagram. It's really, you know, it's really an amazing vocalist and teacher.
So you've had quite a lot of help in preparing then.
Yeah, definitely a lot of help, you know.
So I understand that you founded a band called Dead Channel, is that right?
Yeah, that's actually, that has been my band since 2008.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's almost like a Nine Inch Nail kind of thing, because it almost happened as a joke, not as a joke, but you know, as a you know, just to have, not to have fun. I actually needed to start writing lyrics. Like it was almost like a personal need, you know, like I have to write some lyrics and get certain feelings out of my system, you know.
Yeah.
That's why I started. That was when I started to actually when I started to sing and approach vocals. And on the record, I played all the instruments. I tracked guitar, bass, synths, turntables, because it was involved in electronic music as well. So live electronic synths, turntable scratch and stuff like that. And drums, of course, in my home studio. Back then it was all about, you know, I couldn't record drums. It was all like plug-in and MIDI controller, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, so that's why I said it was like a Nine Inch Nail kind of project, because I did all myself in the studio, and then I had a band coming up with live shows.
Yeah.
And it's been like that since forever, and it's still going. I mean, not now because I'm Fear Factor, but you know, hopefully on days off. but yeah, I mean, it's been really like 15 years, and we were still going, you know. Shortly, you know, actually I had the last gig the days before the departure, you know, so it was still active. And so,
awesome. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how big a Fear Factory fan are you?
Well, if possible, I would say 11.
Wow, good. This fills me with confidence.
Yeah, I mean, and the first rehearsal, the first audition we had with Dino, he was like, "Okay, so do you know this song?" And I happened to know all of them, because that's how a freak I am, you know.
Good. At what point during the audition process did it finally start sinking in, like wow, this could actually be a thing?
Well, I think it was the first day, because Dino had me singing a bunch of songs, and then I remember we left the rehearsal room for a while, and I think it was like, "Oh, you know what? I think I can work with you. Yeah, now we just need to figure out, you know, the visa and stuff like that." It was like, holy shit! Did he just say it's happening? I mean, fuck, you know. And I think that was the moment where I started to actually realize it's fucking happening, you know. So but then of course it was a snowball thing, you know, because a lot of there were a lot of events happening that kept making me realize even more and more and more, you know. So yeah, but that was the very first one, I think.
Yeah. So did you get to choose the songs that you auditioned with, or did Dino ask you to sing certain tracks, or was it a bit of both?
No, he did. he was
Right.
like, oh, sing this, sing that, and I was like, okay, perfect. You know.
Which tracks, just out of curiosity?
Okay, I don't remember them all, but I surely remember the first one. I think they were Shock, no, Recode and Shock. Then we went into Edge Crusher, Disruptor. I remember we did Piss Christ, Descent, Lynchpin, maybe Resurrection. I'm not sure about it, but maybe Self-Biased Resistor. We did, what else we did? Zero Signal, What Will Become. These are the ones that I remember of.
Yeah. Awesome. That must have been a really surreal experience, you know, kind of performing these in order to get into the band.
Yeah, that's the exact, you know, that's the right word, surreal. You know, it's like really unbelievable. You know, it almost fucks with your brain, you know, because
Yeah.
you can't take it at first. And it's like, that can be real, man. And I was waking up every day with this weird feeling, like, you know, that feeling when you dream something good happened to you, but it's so good it can be true, you know.
Yeah.
And then after you wake up, oh, okay, you know, it's a pity it was like just a dream. But then no, you know, I kept waking up every day in my home in Italy, and you know, it was still true. It was still happening. It was, you know, mind fucking in a weird way, you know. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it's the best feeling in the world.
Awesome. Has it sunk in yet?
I think it's a slow process, you know. I think I'm starting to accept it, but I think the actual process of acceptance is going to start once the announcement will be out, you know, because then I'm going to really, and also once we start touring, you know.
Yeah.
So I will also be able to experience the actual impact with the crowd, how we're going to feel about it, and the positive and unfortunately negative backlash, you know, they're going to have on that we're going to have on the internet, right? Because of course I've been prepared for that as well, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask that next. Dino said in previous interviews recently that he has been preparing you for the backlash from fans and from the internet and things like that. In what way has he prepared you for that?
Well, he just kept saying, "Be prepared." You know, if needed, you know, block comments like in some way, you know, or just if you know, you gotta grow thick skin, man. And I was like, I know. It's funny enough, you know, I was watching an interview, a Dino interview. I think it was from the Genexus era. But he was talking about this thick skin thing, you know, like you gotta grow thick skin if you want to be in this game, you know. And I always, you know, while I was watching that interview like 7 years ago, it was always stuck in my mind, you know, grow thick skin, you know. And now I'm actually here with the guy actually saying it to me in person, like, I gotta grow thick skin, you know. I'm like, you know, I know what you're talking about because, you know, I've been hearing you saying this, you know, in interviews. So it's funny. But yeah, definitely I imagine it because, you know, I was always like also like a comment section freak, like not necessarily commenting, but I like to check out comments of people. And you know, I as far as I could see, there are a lot of, you know, positive comments, but also a lot of like hating comments for no reason at all. Like people like to talk shit just for the sake of it, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people struggle to accept change. Who knows what the future is going to hold? But not only are you the new Fear Factory vocalist, but you're obviously a huge fan of the band as well. So do you think you'll be able to maintain that 32-year legacy that they have, but also bring something new and fresh to the future of the band at the same time?
Absolutely. You know, I'm convinced of it, you know, really 100%. Like, I think I am so much of a fan, and I've been so much of a fan, not just as a music listener, but as a vocalist, you know, who has studied the vocal style of the band for so many years, that I really think I am actually really and I will be able to give justice to the vocal legacy and the overall sound legacy of the band, you know, because that's something that I've dedicated pretty much, you know, almost my entire life for years. And also, but like you said, also slowly introduce maybe surely new songs, you know, just a little bit of, you know, freshness, you know, and but you know, without straying away from this overall sound too much, you know.
It is quite big shoes to fill, to be fair. Is there anything that you would like to say to the fans or the people in the metal community that have their doubts?
But yeah, I feel that by reading the comments that a lot of people maybe, you know, lately they're starting to get more positive about this new change, you know. Maybe up until like a month ago, there were a little bit more negative comments about, you know, no, you know, without the previous singers, no Fear Factory and stuff like that, you know, which I understand that because, you know, I've been there too. I mean, as a music fan, you know, I understand the metal fans are really dedicated. The huge dedication sometimes lead to not accept changes, like, you know, member change and stuff like that. So I was there too, you know, when I was younger. Like, you know, one of my favorite bands changed the singer, changed the drummer, and maybe I happen not to like the style of the new guy, you know, so I was like, fuck that guy, you know, this fucking douchebag, you know. So, but now that I, you know, a little bit older, you know, and I'm finding myself in this situation, I go like, oh, okay. So now I understand how it works, you know.
Yeah.
It's like personal taste. I'm totally fine that a lot of people may happen not to like me or like, you know, whatever new guy steps in the band, but just think they should thinking about it when they get more into like hating comments and like fuck that guy, you know, it's shit, you know, just chill, just relax.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not the first time in history that a metal band has changed vocalist. You know, look at Black Sabbath, Arch Enemy, Killswitch Engage. You know, all of these bands have changed vocalists and they've went on to release amazing albums.
Exactly. You get plenty of bands changing singers and still being successful. You know, Dino was talking to me about this band called Journey, which of course I knew of, you know, in a similar story, you know, they picked like a new guy from the Philippines and did an amazing job, you know, so it's still relevant. So you get plenty of these examples, you know.
Exactly. So I was on the Reddit forums just yesterday, and people have been speculating about you being the vocalist for over a year now online from what I've seen. And I think the trigger point for a lot of people was when you suddenly removed all of your Fear Factory covers from your YouTube channel. And then, so why did you remove them? Just out of curiosity.
Well, actually, Dino was like, okay, maybe you want to remove them because you got a little bit of accent issues here and there, so you can do better than that, and people are gonna judge you from those covers, you know, which are, you know, well performed as far as singing goes, but you know, you can do better than that, especially on the accent standpoint. So because there was some kind of vowel shaping that was maybe a little bit too much. Of course, then I had, you know, vocal coach sessions and then I eventually figured it out. But yeah, that was the main reason. But, you know, the backlash was inevitable because people then thought, you know, oh, you know, someone made him remove the covers, you know, so I mean, that's a hint. Yeah. And you know, it's really, if I tell you the whole story, it's really almost like a CIA kind of guys, you know, the fans are like that, you know, they like to, yeah, you know, so
because I was seeing comments on this Reddit feed, it was like, oh, he's removed his YouTube channel, he was in LA at this time and there's a picture of him next to Lemmy's statue, and if you look at the reflection, it's Dino taking his picture and things like that. And I was like, wow.
Exactly, you know, exactly. It was actually, we're actually the Rainbow Bar. This is like a shiny black wall.
Yeah.
So you had a kind of, you know, blurred reflection of Dino taking a picture of me beside Lemmy's statue, and you could not clearly see him, but you could see yeah, I didn't even notice myself.
Yeah.
But this guy did. And you could see like it's kind of a silhouette with his typical Dino shorts, you know, black shorts and shoes and stuff like that. And some guy was like, "Oh, that silhouette looks like Dino's," you know. And I removed the picture, and of course they were like, "Oh, remove the picture." So I mean, it's it. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, there's no escaping the internet, you know. Once they've got a feel for something, it's like we have to investigate this, and this is definitely it. So that was quite interesting to see.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, there were actually a lot of hints that they took, and I couldn't even imagine, you know.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. It's really that crazy. You know, it reminded me of when Slipknot changed members, you know, and it wanted to keep their identity secret, at least in the first days, and they couldn't even make 1 month, I think, because you know, fans just find out, you know,
Yeah.
because at you, because of this, because of that, you know, this is almost like a CIA. You know?
It's exactly what it's like. Yeah, definitely. So how have you managed to keep this a secret for so long?
Well, you know, actually I had to hold back a lot of enthusiasm because you know, because the enthusiasm of course leads you to tell the whole world, "Oh, the secret of Fear Factory," but you can't do that because, you know, it's like, "Don't tell anybody," you know. So it's like, you know, I was in certain situations in Rome, you know, maybe with other, you know, while playing shows with other bands that I wanted so bad to tell them the secret of Fear Factory, but couldn't.
Totally.
So I had to held back a lot of enthusiasm, you know, of course, like just my parents, my brother, my best friend, and my band knew it, you know, my band like 5 or so, but that's it. Like, "Guys, don't tell anyone, please," you know. So, it's like, yeah, my really, you know, my the best friends and family, like my parents, my brother. So
Yeah.
it was like a really narrow secret, you know, nobody had to know. So that's basically how I kept the secret, you know. But well, you know, people, you know, even when the covers on YouTube were still was still on actual YouTube, you know, people thought they were so good, which, you know, we're really happy about it. But they thought we're so good that they started guessing I was the new guy just because they were like, "Oh, it's so good, it has to be him," you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm really humbled and stoked and happy about it, you know, because I was like, "Oh, so this guy's really actually enjoying my cover. So wow, that's amazing. Thank you guys." I mean,
Awesome.
so
So now that we're fast approaching the time that you're officially being announced after all this time, how do you feel?
well, right now, which is Saturday, you know, and I think this interview will be out just on Tuesday or something around there. So, but right now, it's counting down, you know, like tick tock tick, and I'm really, you know, a little bit nervous and tense, but in a good way, you know. So it's like I can't wait for the announcement to come out, you know. I'm getting a lot of fans private messaging me on Instagram like, "Oh, so are you the new guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like I'm telling you, right?
Yeah.
But you know, but I mean, sorry guys, I just can't answer right now, but I promise I will once I'm now. So like, yeah, I am the new guy.
Yeah. It's like, yes, I am. I can finally say it.
Yeah. It's been like uh, more than 1 year, actually 1.5 years, you know,
Yeah.
since I've been confirmed. Since my hiring has been confirmed. So it's been that long that I've been waiting. So it's like we're almost there now. You know, I really, you know, can't wait to do that.
Definitely. So how did it feel rehearsing with the band for the first time as the official vocalist?
It's amazing. You know, it's really, you know, as you can imagine, it's the most tight metal band I've been playing with. You know, of course, I played with good musicians, but you know, we're talking like Dino and Tony, and Mike is not with us yet, Mike Heller, because he is busy recording, I think. But we're playing with a guy called Pete Weber. He's from a band Havoc. He's an amazing drummer, and all guys are really, you know, he's filling in for Mike up until the second week of the tour, I think. So
Cool.
we rehearsed Pete right now is an amazing drummer from this band. Yeah.
So you're filling in for Fear Factory's for their drummer at the moment.
Yes. Dino. I was talking to Dino like last year, and when it was going to be last year, and he had mentioned maybe doing it that time, and then I think it was around Christmas time this year. He texted me back and said, "You still good with those songs?" So I said, "Yep."
Awesome.
And here we
So
are.
how's that been?
Been good. Yeah. Got like 16 songs, and then we're not playing all those, but we might dabble with one or two of those extra ones. So I knew most of the stuff just from being a fan for so long, and so I only really had to learn, I think, 2 or 3 songs before I came out here. So I've been out here for a week, and then we got another more week of rehearsals, and then head out.
Awesome. You excited?
Yeah, I haven't played a show in 3 years, so.
Yeah. 'Cause your last album with Havoc was out in 2020, is that right?
Yeah, we had tons of tours lined up that all just got canceled. So
yeah, because of the pandemic. That sucks.
yeah, it was a week before the pandemic started here that our album came out.
Yeah, so that was the album. Is it 5 or it's the Roman numeral V?
Yeah, it's
5.
whatever you want to call it, but it's both. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually listening to that just the other day. So, is there any particular tracks that you're really looking forward to playing when you're drumming for Fear Factory?
Yeah, I like playing Demanufacture a lot. Dielectric is also a lot of fun. I actually didn't know that one prior to. It's got a lot of cool, different variety of parts in there and stuff. Cool footwork and stuff. Let's see what else. I mean, all the old ones like I saw Fear Factory for the first time on the Obsolete tour, so like Shock, and we play Edge Crusher too. So those are just good like smashing songs for me because I like to hit hard too. So
yeah,
and
that's pretty awesome.
I've already broke a cymbal and we haven't even started. So
that's a good sign of things, though.
Yeah, playing good. So
it's an amazing feeling. It's really so. The machine is fucking working and perfect. And since I'm a perfectionist myself, I was, when I rehearse with my band, since I write music and I record instruments in the studio, and I'm almost that kind of guy that sings but also goes like, oh, you play this part wrong, you play this part wrong, you should be like instead of you're hitting the wrong fret, man. So and right now it's all fucking oiled and perfect, and so it's really like, I feel almost relieved of a lot of stress that I usually have.
Awesome.
It's like it all goes by itself. It's really an amazing experience. And of course the last but not least, the huge excitement of playing with musicians like Dino, Tony, that I always had a lot of esteem for. Like those guys inspired me for a lot of years, since half of my life. Their music, they're playing, so it's like I'm really humbled for it. It's really fantastic experience.
Awesome. So Dino mentioned previously that he wanted to introduce you with a new Fear Factory track.
Yeah, it's coming up later. Right now we have a shit ton of things to do, like get ready for rehearsal and stuff, get ready to buy things for the tour and stuff like that. We're all, every day is like, do this, do this, do that. So we're really busy in getting getting everything right. And so yeah, the new material is coming up later on. I think we will do some pre-production, that quick pre-production in the tour bus. I think like he made me bring my laptop, my studio mic, my audio interface, just to do some scratches, some.
Cool.
So but I think we will start recording just on July.
You mentioned previously that this is your first big tour that you've done.
Yeah.
Exactly. How have you got yourself prepared for that?
Well, physically, I've been working out a lot. Fortunately enough, I have my best friend, which is also a vocalist of my other band, Skill Gear, which is a kick-ass kung fu instructor, and he had my ass working for months, to get ready physically. And then that was the physical preparation, because I've never been like a sport guy myself. I always been a little more, not lazy, but I had maybe some issues as far as the constants go. Like one of those guys that quits the gym after 2 months. So I was like, no, I really need someone that's gonna kick my ass for 3-4 days a week. Like today's gonna do push-ups and fucking do the punching bag, whatever.
Yeah.
Build in breath and stamina, which I have, but of course on tour is completely different. And whereas as far as psychological preparation go, well, I mean, I had just one therapy session, which I have just once in a while, just to check if everything is good, like what's going on in your life and stuff like that. But but it was all good. Like I'm doing fine. Of course, I must accept my my fears and my insecurities, because they're all part of the game.
Yeah.
So I've been told I'm really ready for it, because I have all cards, like we say in Italy. You have all cards to do it. So
Definitely.
so yeah, I've been prepared myself psychologically.
So is there any particular tracks that you're really looking forward to performing?
My favorite one is by far Dielectrics. So it has been my favorite, or one of my absolute favorite songs with Fear Factory. For some reason, the chorus has got really, the melody of the chorus and the overall arrangement gives me really like positive energy, to fucking face everything. I don't know, it just gives me a fucking huge positive power. And but beside Dielectric, I love to perform Power Shifter. I love Shock, Edge Crusher. I mean,
you're basically listing all of my favorites. So yes,
really?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, basically that's because, I love all Fear Factory albums, but my favorite one's probably going to be somewhere around Obsolete, Digimortal, and Genexus, because of more synth presence, groovy attitude, and overall arrangements, the riffing,
Yeah. What album was it that got you into Fear Factory in the first place?
I think a friend of mine played me Linchpin and Resurrection, but for some reason Linchpin was talking to me a little bit more, because it's more direct and and has an instant hook and stuff. So I was hooked by Linchpin, of course, the Digimortal album. Then they passed me the whole discography, and then so I was checking out songs from that album, because I like specifically that sound that Digimortal had a lot of the groovy elements that I liked, but it combined in a good way melody, harsh vocals, the groove, but also the extreme part of metal, but it had the extreme, extreme double bass kind of thing, but it was combined in a good way with the rhythmic patterns. It was all like, he had his own personality, so I was really fascinated about it. And then from there, I got into, I think, Obsolete. Then shortly after Mechanized was out, so I was like, wow, I really like it. Even though Mechanized is not a groovy album, but I still liked it for some reason, because it was really, it had like a fucking dark and rebellious vibe to it, and
it had a lot of attitude. Yeah,
I mean, and I think Mechanized was some of those albums that got me even deeper into more extreme music, like blast beat kind of things, because back then I liked some of the extreme death metal stuff like that, but that album really got me even more deep into that,
Awesome. Nice one. So lastly, what would you like to bring to the future of Fear Factory?
Okay, so I really like to say that I'm here to do justice to the songs, and to I'm here to replicate, exactly. I mean, not that I want to be a clone something, but I'm here to sing the song exactly as they are on the record, because I know fans wanna hear it that way. You know, they want the classic, they want demanufactured, they want obsolete, they want to hear the classic Fear Factory sound. And so I really like to say that, you know, I'm here to please the fans, because I'm a fan myself. You know, I'm still a fan of the band, you know, which is ironic, but you know, so I'm really here to please all those old school Fear Factory fans with the very classic Fear Factory vocal sound, which is the sound that I've been working on for the past 15 years. You know, every day with headphones. You know, how do you do like how does you do the you know? So it was really, you know, so I really like to say this, you know, I'm really here to, I'm working my ass off to bring you guys a really tight Fear Factory vocal experience, you know. So as a fan myself, I know how important it is for you guys. So I'm really, you know, here working hard for you to bring a unique Fear Factory experience and a huge coming back of the band.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me. It's appreciated.
Thank you. You know, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. You know, hope to see you soon.
Yeah, absolutely.